All right, I'm going to get started. We have a very small crowd, so just interrupt me with questions or if I talk too fast, because that happens a lot. Ashley is putting the PowerPoint into the chat. All right, so we're going to talk about documentation for the Part C to Part B transition. And we're going to keep it to just the documentation. I have contact info for more specific questions later on. We are recording this. Again, interrupt with any questions or throw them in the chat because it's a small group. So as always, we'll start with team introductions. We'll talk a little bit about the timeline of that transition from Part C to Part B, what your responsibilities are as an SAU, some federal reporting and what monitoring will look like for these kiddos, and as always, resources. So this is our team. I am Jennifer Gleason. Before I joined this team about 4.5 years ago, I was a special education teacher. And we have Carly is here.
Hi, everybody. I am Carly Thibodeau, and I have been with the team for just over 3 years. And before that, I was a teacher for 21 years.
And Ashley is here.
Hi guys, my name is Ashley Satry and I am a member of the monitoring team, and I joined the team about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago. And before that I was a special education teacher, and fun fact, I taught special ed, special purpose preschool for a year, and that was enough for me.
I didn't know that about you, Ashley. And our super wrangler, Julie, is here as well.
Hi, I'm Julie Pelletier. I am the admin support for the monitoring team, and I am in my eighth year with the DOE. And prior to that, I was admin support at a K-5 elementary school for 16 years.
So almost the whole team is here. It's just Colette that is missing. She is our fearless leader and off doing other things at the moment. All right, so basics, IDEA Part C. That's birth to two or birth until the third birthday. In Maine, we call this early intervention for me. And then right on the third birthday, it becomes early childhood special education. And that is our pre-K kiddos, and they become part of IDEA Part B, which goes all the way through exit, 12th grade. So that's what we're talking about when we talk about Part C and Part B. We're really trying to talk more about early intervention for me and early childhood special education, but we will still slip into Part C and Part B quite a bit, I'm sure. So timelines. There are 3 meetings that have to happen. The first is the transition conference, and that is set up, that's a Part C meeting. So that's early intervention for me, takes care of that meeting. And then there's the IEP referral meeting, which is just like any other referral meeting you do for an initial referral. And then the eligibility meeting, also just like any other eligibility meeting you do for an initial referral. So the transition conference happens sometime between when the child is 2 years, 3 months and 2 years, 9 months. Part C schedules this meeting, early intervention for me, schedules this meeting. They must invite a representative of the SAU to this meeting, and that representative or a representative from the SAU must attend. That's in the regulations. So this conference is really meant to introduce the parent to the school district. So you have to be there to make that happen. At this point, you can provide the procedural safeguards to the family. and make sure you document that because, as we know, if it's not in the written notice, it didn't happen. After the transition conference, you have the referral meeting. So this is you. This is a Part B. SAU does this. So you're going to schedule the meeting, send out the advance written notice. You're going to take care of the written notice for this one. Part C takes care of all of that for the transition conference. But you, as the Part B provider, are going to take care of all this for the referral meeting. Also, you should invite early intervention for me to this meeting as well, because they are the ones who really know the child. The parents can tell you they don't want early intervention for me to be at the referral meeting, and then you just don't invite them. But the default is invite them. So for everybody's convenience, you can hold the transition conference and the referral meeting back to back. You have to remember they're two completely separate meetings. One is scheduled, run, and documented by early intervention for me, and the other is scheduled, run, and documented by the SAU. So they're two separate meetings, but they can be held back to back. And I think they do that. CDS does that a lot because it makes sense to do that rather than having to come out for another meeting. So at this point, it really is just like any other initial referral. The only real difference is your evaluation and eligibility timeline. So for K to 12, you have to have your evaluations completed and eligibility meeting happen within 45 school days of receipt of parental consent. For pre-K, it's 60 calendar days. So it's a whole different world if you get referrals in the summer, you have to do those evaluations. So it's a little trickier than K to 12. You should inform the parent that a Part C representative will be invited to the eligibility meeting. And then you're going to determine eligibility and develop an IEP exactly like you do now. Jan, a couple of questions. I've been told that Erin is wanting us to switch to preschool for both 3- and 4-year-old, not using pre-K. Is that correct? So depends on which cohort you're in, Jan. If you're in cohort 3, you can choose to just do 4-year-olds now and then add 3-year-olds the following year. I'm not sure if that option is going to be available for cohort 4 or not, because I think everybody has to be wrapped in by cohort 4. But you can, if you're in cohort 3, you can definitely do just 4-year-olds for this year, and CDS will continue to do 3-year-olds.
But can we use the actual term pre-K for 4-year-olds, like pre-K programs? Because that's what I was told, that we're not using the term pre-K anymore, that 3- and 4-year-olds both have to be considered preschool, and we're not using the terminology pre-K anymore.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't know that.
But you're saying pre-K, so I just don't know if somebody misunderstood. Because
I didn't get that memo, so maybe I shouldn't be saying pre-K.
But I'm thinking you would probably know, and like the
Not
DOE,
necessarily.
yeah, but the DOE, even with funding, like even though the 279 isn't like switched over yet, it still says pre-K on your 279. So to me, that's still your 4-year-old programs. So I just didn't know if you guys knew about that.
I have no idea,
Because
but
we're in
I'll
cohort.
check in with Sandy and
Okay.
get clarification on that.
All right, just as because we are taking on 4-year-olds next year, and I just want to make sure that in all of our terminology, everything that we're sending out, we're using what we're supposed to be using, so that's the only reason why I was asking. And the other
That
one's
makes
just a question you don't have to answer right now, but CDS didn't know this answer when we just had a meeting about an
about
abbreviation.
abbreviated day.
There's
So,
no timelines that we could find in Muser, so we didn't know if it was still school days,
right. So
calendar.
it's kind of weird because it depends on if there's a full school day. Because not everybody is going to have a full school day. Sometimes this is just their program. They don't need a full school day. I think if you have universal pre-K or preschool, or whatever you want to
Mhm.
call it. Now you got me all confused, Jan.
Sorry.
If you provide preschool for everybody
Mhm.
and there's a school day and everybody has the same school day, I don't know the answer.
Okay.
If you don't have universal pre-K, then I think abbreviated day doesn't really apply because that's just their school day and not everybody has the same school day. It's based on the child's needs.
All
So it's
right.
a tricky thing.
It is universal, and that's where they didn't know. And the student had just qualified, so that's why it was one of those meetings that we did the eligibility and everything, and I know it's way off topic, so sorry.
It's okay. Another good question for Sandy. So
Okay.
we'll go there.
All right.
All right. All right, let me get back on here. So you're going to do your evaluations between 2 years, 9 months, and 3 years old. That's your window to get your evaluations done and do your eligibility meeting. The big deal is the IEP has to be implemented by the child's 3rd birthday. So this is your big C to B transition timeline here. Implemented, they call it in by 3, implemented by their 3rd birthday. But there's always an exception. So if there's a summer birthday, you want to make sure you get the IEP developed by the child's 3rd birthday, and obviously you won't implement until the first day of school. So I'm going really fast here. All right, so your responsibilities as the SAU. You're going to attend the transition conference. You're going to provide procedural safeguards to the parents. You're going to schedule, run, and document the referral meeting, which is your step 1 meeting. Make sure you document procedural safeguards in that written notice or advance written notice for that meeting. Again, you can schedule these 2 meetings back to back, completely up to you. I imagine you will get to know your Part C person pretty well. I think they're called Part C coordinators, but that might not be right. And then you're just going to do everything like you normally do for an initial referral. You're going to get parental consent to evaluate. Once you get that back, you're going to complete your evaluations within 60 calendar days. It's the only thing that's different. You're going to have your eligibility meeting just like you always do. Invite early intervention for me to that meeting unless the parent tells you they don't want them there. If the child is found eligible, you're going to develop the IEP within 30 days, just like you do for K to 12. And that IEP needs to be implemented by the child's 3rd birthday. I have this cool little timeline that I stole from Ariana and Sandy from their presentation, but just kind of a nice to have a little 1-pager with the timeline for you. So monitoring, when we come out and do monitoring and you have taken over the FAPE responsibility, we're pretty much going to want to look at all of your C to B referrals and then any pre-K initial referrals up to 10. Like right now, we look at 10 K to 12 initial referrals. So we'll do a total of 10 C to B and initial referrals. And what we're going to be looking for there is that procedural safeguards were given upon referral. So make sure that that's documented. And that your evaluations were completed and the eligibility meeting was held within 60 calendar days of receipt of consent. For C to B, so that's indicator 11, initial referral. C to B transition is indicator 12. And for that, what we're going to look at is, did a representative of the SAU attend the transition conference that was run by Early Intervention for Maine? And was the IEP implemented by the third birthday? Or was the child found not eligible before their third birthday? So that is what we're going to look at when we come on site for monitoring. Federal reporting, as you know, the state performance plan annual performance report is due annually February 1st. This is where we report to the federal government. Part C reports on 12 indicators and Part B reports on 18 indicators. And the indicators that we're talking about here are 11 and 12. So 11 is its initial referrals and 12 is C to B transition. Questions? I know I went fast, and this is really just basic documentation. If you have questions about the process or the transition into from CDS to the SAUs providing FAPE, these are your people. Ariana Whiting is the Part C coordinator. So she does all of Part C, early intervention for me. She is brilliant. She knows everything. And of course, Sandy Flack is handling the transition from CDS to SAUs. So they are the ones with all of the answers on the process. We are, for documentation, paperwork stuff comes to us, but everything else would go to Ariana or Sandy. As always, we have resources for you. This is where you will find anything law related, the procedural manual, procedural safeguards. The DOE website is really hard to navigate, so we're trying to give you a lot of links that you can bookmark. This is the link to our pages, the supervision, monitoring, and support pages. I have to update that. This is where you can get our resources. We have those quick reference checklists for each of the forms. We have information sheets, all kinds of resources for you up there. Our professional learning page, a little wonky to navigate, but if you click any of the headings, it will sort by that heading. So category, IEP and forms is all us, supervision, monitoring, and support. If you have trouble navigating or finding something, just reach out to any of us, and we will walk you through that because we know it's difficult and they keep moving things around on us. As you know, because you're here, we do office hours the second and fourth Wednesday of every month. There are recordings here for almost everything that we have done to date. And on the next page are registration links for our upcoming office hours. We have a lot of guest speakers coming up in the spring, so we're super excited about that. This is where you go for forms. You used to be able to click forms on the left-hand side of our website, and they moved everything into, it's called Resources for Schools and Families or something like that. that's where you get forms. People have been having a lot of trouble finding them, so this is where you go. And as most of you know, we like feedback. We adjust our training based on feedback. So let us know what you think. Be honest. Carly just put this link in the chat for you. And also put in your email address and pick office hours C to B from the drop down. It's by the date, right? Is it by the date, Carly?
Yeah, today's
It's by
date, 12/10/25, part C to
by
B
today's
transition.
date. And Carly will send you office hours. Carly will send you contact hours for hanging out with us today. And this is where you can find us online. And this is where you can find any of us, any paperwork questions, forms questions. Absolutely reach out to any of us. We are all teachers, so we like to provide as much support as we can because that's the part of our job we like the best. And again, Sandy or Ariana for any of the process questions. So that was pretty quick. Anything else? Any other questions before we go and everybody can go home before the snow hits?
Too late, Jennifer. It's snowing everywhere except for you, I think.
It is not snowing here where I am, but I live in a bubble, so.
Here too, Jan, here too.
Snowing in the county. Isn't it always, though? Is it always snowing up there, Jan? I mean, really?
We've gotten quite a bit. I don't think
Have you?
I've had a cruise control ride for a couple of weeks.
Oh, bummer. Oh, man. That's not cool.
It's all good. It's what I get for living up here, right?
That's right. All right. Everybody go home and drive safe, and we'll see you in January. All right. Have a good one. Thank you.